Stoic Woman and the Game of Shadows. Aurelia walked into the grand hall of the corporate headquarters, her heels echoing against the marble floor. The air was thick with ambition and veiled intentions. She had worked too hard to reach this position, and now, as she climbed the final steps toward leadership, she felt the invisible hands trying to push, pull, and shape her. Manipulation was everywhere, but Aurelia was no ordinary woman. She was a student of Stoicism, a master of herself. Mastering Emotional Detachment. Her first lesson had come years ago when she realized how emotions could be weaponized. In a world where people feasted on reactions, she had learned to starve them. "Miss Aurelia, we need an immediate decision," her assistant David pressed. "The shareholders are furious and Mr. Callahan is threatening to withdraw his support." A younger version of herself would have panicked, thrown herself into a flurry of justifications and rushed choices. Instead, she inhaled deeply. The Stoics taught that emotions were fleeting, only reason endured. "What does the data say?" she asked coolly. David hesitated, unprepared for her composure. "Well, the projections show we can recover if we hold firm." She nodded. "Then we hold firm." The storm of emotions passed through others in the room like wildfire, but she remained untouched. They sought to bend her through fear, but she was an oak against the wind. Later that day, Aurelia took a walk through the city park, reflecting on the moment. Emotions could feel overpowering in the heat of the moment, but like waves crashing against the shore, they would always recede. She had trained herself to respond, not react, to let logic, not fear, guide her choices. The power of rational thinking. Later that evening, Aurelia found herself face to face with Ethan Callahan, the company's most influential investor. He leaned back in his chair, studying her with the gaze of a predator evaluating prey. "Aurelia, we both know perception is reality," he mused. "If you don't reconsider your stance, people will lose confidence in your leadership." Aurelia had encountered his kind before. Half-truths were their weapons, misdirection their armor. She responded not with defiance, but with reason. "Perception is an opinion, Ethan. Reality is what remains when opinions fade." He smirked but said nothing. She continued, "The numbers support our strategy. If I change course based on sentiment, I abandon reason. And that, Ethan, would truly damage confidence." He tapped his fingers against the table, then chuckled. "You're not easily swayed." She met his gaze, unshaken. "That's the point." Later, alone in her office, she considered the subtle ways in which people tried to erode others' confidence. Some sought to twist perception, others relied on peer pressure or personal doubt. The only way to combat such forces was through unshakable reason, seeing clearly, stripping away emotion, and clinging to truth. Understanding the nature of control. Not all battles were fought in boardrooms. Some came in whispers, in unseen pressures, in the erosion of one's autonomy. Aurelia had learned a vital lesson: control was an illusion, except over one's own mind. Her colleague, Vivian, had fallen into a trap. Manipulated into taking the blame for a failing project, she sat slumped in a corner of the office, shame pulling her shoulders down. Aurelia sat beside her. "Vivian, tell me, what part of this situation is truly in your control?" Vivian exhaled shakily. "None of it really. They've already made up their minds." Aurelia shook her head. "Not true. You control your response. You control whether you let them define you." Vivian lifted her gaze. "But how do I fight it?" Aurelia offered a small, knowing smile. "By realizing they have no real power over you. If you do not accept their blame, it does not belong to you." Something shifted in Vivian's expression. Aurelia knew the seed had been planted. The following week, Vivian returned with a quiet confidence, handling the fallout of the project with poise. Aurelia watched with satisfaction, another person freed from the illusion of external control. Building inner resilience. The biggest manipulator of all was the world itself. It threw hardships, injustice, and betrayal, hoping to break those who walked with integrity. Aurelia had faced it all. One evening, she received an anonymous letter. It warned that if she did not step down, certain details from her past would be leaked. Lies, exaggerations, she knew the game. She held the letter over a candle's flame and watched it turn to ash. Fear was only powerful if one allowed it a home within them. She would not cower, she would not yield. If truth was her ally, then no shadow could consume her. The threats continued in various forms, subtle rumors, misleading accusations. But each time, Aurelia stood firm. With each storm she weathered, she felt herself grow stronger. Her mind was an unshakable fortress, and nothing could penetrate it without her permission. The art of strategic silence. The final battle came with words left unspoken. At the quarterly meeting, whispers of her scandal were thick in the air. She could see it in their eyes, the expectation that she would plead her case, defend her name, explain. She did nothing. Instead, she presented the company's achievements, the numbers, the trajectory of success. The facts spoke louder than any defense she could offer. By the end of the meeting, the murmurs had faded. Silence had dismantled the manipulation better than any argument ever could. As she left the meeting, one of her most vocal critics approached her. "You didn't even try to deny the rumors," he said, almost incredulous. She looked at him calmly. "A lie only thrives when fed attention. I don't negotiate with falsehoods." His face shifted, first in frustration, then in respect. She walked away, knowing she had won. And as Aurelia walked away from the boardroom that day, she knew she had won, not against a person, not against a corporation, but against manipulation itself. The battle was never about proving oneself to others. It was about remaining true to oneself. And in that, she had already triumphed. Are you ready to reclaim your power, set boundaries, and live life on your own terms? If this story inspired you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and become part of a community that embraces Stoic wisdom for a stronger, freer mind. Tell us in the comments, have you ever struggled? How did you break free? Your story could inspire someone else on their journey. Like this video if you found value in it. Each like helps us reach more people who need this message of self-respect and inner strength. Together we rise, together we grow. Subscribe now and walk the Stoic path with us.